For our first panel, I'm really delighted to have a stellar panel of salon owners who cover the wide gambit of what it's like to own a salon in India today. Our first panel member is Montie Thanki, who's Managing Director, TNT Products and Salon. Montie is one of the first niche specialist salon owners in the country, having successfully built the salon chain Tip and Toe, which is one of the fastest growing luxury nails, lash and brow salons in India. As well as building his salon chain, he's also at the same time built a complete ecosystem for nails, lashes and brows, from training to products to service, providing a one-stop solution for his salon format. Next, we have Rahul Bhalchandra, co-founder YLG Salons. Rahul's a professional turned entrepreneur with domain expertise in health and beauty, retail and services. He quit his corporate job, moved to Bangalore, and co-founded YLG along with his better half, Vijanti, in 2008, which over the last 15 years has become one of the leading salon chains in the country. Prior to YLG, Rahul was head of the wellness business for the Future Group and built up their health and beauty category, including the beauty salon chain Star and Sitara. Before that, Rahul headed the branded retail business for Arvind Brands, which owns brands like Arrow, Lee, Wrangler, and Excalibur. And his entry in retail began as the business head for the well-known beauty retailer Health and Glow. Next, we have Samir Srivastava, who is CEO of Look Salon. Samir successfully led, prior to this, Jean-Claude Bigwan in India and created it to be one of the most famous and well-run salon chains in the country. His profound leadership qualities and exceptional business acumen, as well as his in-depth knowledge of the industry, led him to expand the brand across the country to almost 30 salons. Now he's moved over to Look Salon as CEO, which is again one of the most prestigious salon chains in the country on a fast expansion growth route, and they brought Samir on to accelerate that. Finally, but not least, we have Savio John Pereira, owner and founder, Savio John Pereira Salons. Savio is the showman of the Indian hair industry, exuberant, enthusiastic. He's passionate about not just running salons, but also hairdressing, a rare combination in today's market. Until very recently, he had a standalone salon, the Savio John Pereira Salon in Bandra, and another one of his at the French luxury hotel Sofitel. But over 2023, his dream of opening many more doors has come true, and he's added nearly half a dozen more salons to his portfolio this year alone. Thank you, gentlemen, for giving up your time today to be here, and I welcome you all onto stage to candidly share your many highs and lows. So the session that we're dealing with is how has managing a salon changed in recent years? We'll do a flow in terms of conversation between all of us. First question we want to start with is trying to go back in history to when you first started Salon. So from your initial days, each of you has a different journey, from your corporate to entrepreneurs, hairdresser, very different journeys. But winding back, whether it's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years plus, what were some of the key operational and business challenges that you had no idea that this is what it's like to run a salon? So what were some of those first initial kind of, generally it'll probably be shocks when you're moving into the salon business. We'll start this way first, but Rahul.
So, hello. So the first thing which I never expected when we started was really handling the people, because I had done it earlier and I've been part of retail for many years, but this is a completely different ball game, and that was a big learning. The second was really not knowing. I am still not a technical guy. I don't understand hair, I don't understand beauty. So running a business which is dependent on hair and beauty and not knowing anything was a really big challenge. And I was fortunate that Vaijanti has become herself an expert in that. So we have somebody who's our own expert, but otherwise it was just not possible.
Yeah, they also say people is one of the hardest bits in any business, let alone, when you've got, the creative spirit in hairdressing.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 12 years ago when we started our first store, and we wanted to enter into niche market. So when we came from New York to Mumbai, we saw there were no nail salons in Mumbai which were at par or happening things. So we thought this is the right way, a right opportunity to enter this market. And that's how we started our journey in nails.
Yeah.
And as for, if you see from previous questions, like how you say, it has become paperless, I believe. We used to never have any menus, no prices, nothing. It was just a barber's talking about it, okay, I'll just charge you this much. And that's it. It was just word of mouth. That's what I believe.
Just going back to you, Montie, because 12 years ago, we didn't even have a nail industry in India, right? So products were coming, going, but the biggest challenge most product suppliers had was no talent, no technicians. So and still in India, to have a niche concept, very many have tried and very many have failed, and you're probably one of the few still surviving that has. So 12 years ago, that was unheard of. So what you would have come across different challenges trying to set up, a specialist niche brand.
Actually, my background is from import and exports. So my wife's idea was having a nail salon, and she wanted, but she should not get products regularly because there was less training, people. So since I was there, so I was just part of helping her in getting her products done. And slowly we started. Right now we are 25 salons chain in India.
Samir.
I have a slightly different approach here because I think we have 3 entrepreneurs here. I was fortunate that I was working for a company which used to be called, it still is called Skin Clinic. It had a big corporate backing. So, sabse pehle to, when we had corporate backing, so there's a lot of pressure which is off. Versus, I'm sure the 3 gentlemen here and many more who experienced it. So 20 years ago, when I was vice president at Kaya Skin Clinic, हमने Bandra में, Bombay में एक पहला clinic खोला था, and nobody knew anything about dermatology then, including me, the president of the company, the CEO, then CEO of the company, the dermatologist. We were just sitting in Bandra with a fancy clinic made. Don't know how this business happened, and from there to what cosmetic dermatology clinics have become in India. That was my first experience of actually the salon industry. And it's not a salon industry, maybe it's a beauty industry, I would say, overall. So it's very different to compare what the 3 of you have experienced. But I think one big thing for me is I learned it over the years. I learned it with my colleagues who were very supportive. I've got one star colleague there. Whatever success I have achieved, and I'm sitting in this forum, I owe it a lot to people like her. And of course, great hairdressers. And of course, Montie's wife, who's a very seasoned entrepreneur. I just introduce Montie saying, this is not his business, it's his wife's business, correct? But let me hand it over. So I've had very different experiences over the conversation we'll speak. Yeah.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So for us, I guess the challenges in the last 20-25 years and how the industry has grown, there were 2 aspects to it. One is where it's artist driven and one is where it's corporate driven. And artists had to compete with the corporate because corporates bought in a lot of systems and processes. Corporates taught us how to scale up our business. And today we see a lot of artists, hairdressers like me, who are out here to kind of scale up our businesses. We've learned to work with softwares. We've learned to work with processes, systems. And I think artists are going to have a better edge in the coming future because, we're still people who work on the floor. At the same time, we are learning from the corporates how to scale up our businesses. So it's a great learning on both sides, So it's not just about being on the floor or it's not just about running a business, but it's putting both of them together and creating a new pathway to the industry right now. So,
let's break that down because I said India feels like a unique market for the hairdressing community. Because, for example, here, we've got 2 corporates, that, run salons. Montie's an entrepreneur, importer, running a salon. If we were in another market like US, UK, Western market, we wouldn't have this ratio of only one hairdresser running the salon. Pretty much, it's the dream of a hairdresser doing well in a salon, having its own client book, and then thinking, I want to do something for myself. I want my name up there. I can manage these clients. That's the typical story. And I think for many small businesses across India, the non-corporates, you probably still have, wives becoming beauticians, running something, or hairdressers in smaller places saying, I want to do something for myself with my name. So break that down for that kind of segment, because statistically, many hairdressers running a salon earn less than their top staff. And sometimes you think it was less stress, good money, just being a hairdresser. You take a lot more risk and a lot more stress to not earn much more money running a salon. So how did you stay the game in running your salon and not think, bugger this, it was easier back in the day?
To stay in the game.
As in, stay in the salon game, because it could have been easier being your own celeb hairdresser, working somewhere else, rather than having to manage staff, manage operations. That's not normally the mindset of a creative person, like you said, the systems and processes.
True. I guess it's like, what? For one, as a creative person, you got to accept that you've got your own limitations running a business. So you've got to start aligning yourself with great business people, people who've got business acumen, people who've got a business sense. So, and you've got to kind of realize that's one reality about me. I'm a great creative guy. I'm a people's person. I can create, but I'm not that great at running a business. And I need the right people and the right team to help me put it together. So you need two teams. You need a really creative team and you need a business team who's going to help you run the salon, and identifying those people, retaining those people. And, that's the biggest challenge right now. I mean, my wife's there. I mean, she's been with the biggest support to help me put my team together. And the salon, the back end part of the salon. Then I've got my stylists like Wendy and Debbie who've been with me for the longest time. And retaining them is constant conversations that, one, a hairdresser's shelf life is short. Two, it's survival of the fittest. So you've got to be really good at what you do. We had a phase where you had people poaching people, salaries, commissions, so there were ridiculous money being thrown into the market and people were just kind of getting scattered all over the place. But end of the day, in the last 2-3 years, hairdressers have realized if you need to do something, it depends completely upon you. And you've got to retain yourself in a certain place. You've got to stop blaming the system and start kind of taking ownership for your creativity, the way you run your life, the way you run your... And I'm running out of words.
That's right. Yeah. So, and let's flip to the other side from hairdresser to corporate, because that sometimes you can feel that's a down step, that you're going from running successful businesses, very high-end corporate stuff, to okay, let's open a salon. So that would have been a mental mind shift as well. That you're saying the creature comforts of the corporate background, the support structure, everything's on hand. When you're running your own, starting with a salon business, you've got nothing like that. So how did you cope with that and not give up? Rahul first.
Well, I think as Vaijayanti would agree, and she has been telling me that if we stay long enough in the game, that's it. So tenacity is the biggest quality for running a successful business. I think everything else comes later. You have to just stick with it. And I think that's what has helped us to come here. I mean, the kind of shit we have faced is just crazy, but we just stick it out, and we know that we'll come to a stage where we can see that yes, there is a future, and we can go to a much different level.
Yeah. When you started YLG, you have that vision that, okay, we're not going to be running, 1 or 2 salons, but we think this could scale up. There's an opportunity to go from, 1 to 10 to 20 to 40. Was that part of the initial thinking, was it?
Yes, absolutely. So scale definitely was part of the thinking, and the model we built, the business we've built is to scale. It is not built to be small set of number of stores and run it very creatively. No,
Yeah.
it's something which can be duplicated and multiplied many times over.
So, some of the points they're bringing up, we may not fully cover in this session because we're doing these in separate sessions. So the operational bit we are covering later. The talent retention and poaching is a huge problem in the industry. We're covering that tomorrow. So we'll get into that more detail as well. But what I want you as audience to keep thinking of is asking questions, because the challenges you have today in your businesses are not just your problem. Even the icons have been through that, still go through that. So everyone has the same problems and have figured out, and are still figuring out how to manage this stuff. So we'll switch to you, Montie, because again, it's just very interesting that I'm just realizing that we have four different, we should have had a woman on board, but we have 4 different skill sets and backgrounds from the salon perspective. So you coming as pure business guy, looking at this market, you having no nail or expertise, obviously the wife has. What was your vision when you first came in, and how did you manage all the challenges that would have come up?
See, business is something which we have been doing from years. So that comes in blood, handling accounts. These are all basic fundamentals of business. So what I thought is, like, scaling is easy, but to scale these business, you require technical support, you require products, you require people, you require a good team. So first we started building this. So in our company, what we do is we never hire people from outside. We always give people from our team only the chance to grow. So that's why they see the vision of growing. They are there to be with us and retain, and be there with us. So it's long years, these girls have been working with us for the last 12 years, 10 years, 9 years, and then do want to move out.
Did you have academy at the same time when you were launching?
No, we started academy in 4 years down the lane.
So how did you build because again, your sector 12 years ago, there were no technicians in the market. So how did you?
There were technicians. There were technicians working in different salons. Salon chains closed down. They were all jobless because nails was not a big thing in India at that time. So we got those technicians on board, got them trained, got them what they needed, supported them, and then again started training the younger people.
Got it.
So that's how we follow. We try to train from down. By the time they are in the floor, they're ready.
Yeah.
That's how that is.
Great. And then Samir, obviously the corporate side. So your challenge was, like you said, your first hire was the initial start. But even JCB was from scratch. You're someone who understands the systems, the processes, how to work from the corporate. But how did you work? Talent would have been an interesting one for you.
Like I said, see, expansion, I agree with what Montie has said and what Rahul has said. I think expansion versus opportunity in India is the name of the game. But the only thing I would say is very calibrated, यानी कि बहुत planned तरीके से अगर आप expansion करेंगे अपने business का, then it is a better and a smarter way of doing business instead of just mindless expansion. I have inherited a company now with 200 salons, and Sanjay, who's the promoter, he set up 180 clinics, 180 salons already. But rest of India is very patchy for us. So when I took charge about 6 months ago, we've just opened 2 salons in Bombay in the last 6 months. But for me though I know Bombay well, but it's important for me to understand a new brand, understand the positioning of the brand, see how the consumer is going to accept it, not just go that, okay, Bandra is the place to be, so let's go and open in Bandra, or South Bombay is the place to be. So, each brand has its own peculiarities.
Yeah.
But yes, expansion, definitely. I mean, we have a vision jointly. What Sanjay and me created is to look at 500 salons in the next 3 to 4 years. And I think it's possible. Believe me, it's possible. Whether you do it the franchising way, or you do the partnership way, or you do the company-owned way. But I think the opportunity, and there's enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone. There's enough space for individuals to grow. From one salon to you've made now how many? Five salons. I think Rahul here and Vajanti run a very smart operation in the south part of India. Montie is a very boutique, niche service provider. We're also, so everybody, there is enough positioning and enough opportunity available in India for every segment to grow, according to me. But the only advice is that you plan your business well, go slow. Don't go like, a typical follow the leader kind of plan, and you can make money, definitely.
Yeah. I think it's a good point to move on to in terms of planning, because, interesting point that you say, even with your vision of, more than doubling up, tripling up to 500 plus, out of what we see in the industry right now, where everyone's competing, there's a very easy kind of switch to, let's just give 10% discount, 20% discount, 50% discount for the salons, buy this, get this, right? Which it impacts us, and yet you said there's still scope for expanding. So focusing on the planning part and how to run a profitable salon, what are some of the key points and strategies you're adopting to make sure not only are you expanding, but you're expanding profitably and sustainably? Because that doesn't always go hand in hand.
I'll just take a minute. I don't think discounting is the game at all. I've opened 2 salons recently in the last 1 month. I haven't discounted a single rupee. And a brand which is not acceptable in Bombay, it's not a market leader in Bombay. Yeah. It's that how you understood your market and what is your strategy. It is sustainable. You'll have to plan it. You'll have to go slow. Yes, you'll have to lower your ambitions a little. But discounting is not going to take you anywhere. I also have somebody who's opened a very fancy salon in South Bombay. I don't think they're opening it. They're doing discounting at all. Very prestigious looking salon, very nice looking salon. By Florian, again, a hairdresser, and Jashmira works there. I don't think they've discounted either. So discounting will not take you anywhere. According to me, understanding your consumer, understanding your market segment, किस एरिया में है, किस तरीके से आप काम करना चाहते हैं, and then you play the game differently. I mean, don't follow what somebody else is doing. That's what my personal take is. I have no intention of discounting at all.
What's your thinking around, running a business profitably? Because, you've been that hairdresser that's been running primarily one iconic one in Bandra. We all know that's where Savio John Pereira is. It's sustained itself. Now you're expanding. Expanding is not always easy. You realize that some will run, some won't run. You've got to fix bugs quickly along the way. So how do you look at your pricing strategy, especially when you're moving out of a Bandra into Thane, into new markets where your customer profile isn't going to be your Bandra or profile?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's something we've been learning now in the last couple of months, and price does play a very important role. But I think to be in the game right now, and for any individual or hairstylist, is going to be quality. Quality and consistency is something which people are looking out for. People are willing to pay the price for it. And if we can kind of develop and maintain processes and systems to kind of keep that quality alive, that's the biggest challenge right now. So scaling up is easy. You can open up salons, you can do that part of it. And the biggest challenge besides that is people management. So getting the right people, getting the right talent. Talent has been so spoiled in the market right now. So you've got amazing talent, but they've got so many choices. They're spoiled for choices. They're spoiled for choices. Ridiculous offers are thrown up to them. And I'm just waiting. What's happening is there's a lot of self-realization happening in the market where top talent is concerned. They've realized they want to kind of be associated with quality. They want to be associated with something that's happening good. They want to be associated with something that is consistent. And that's something which we are working on very, very strongly right now. So it's taking a little bit of time. As Samir said, you don't need to jump into just because everyone's opening a salon left, right, and center. You can do it. Money's there in the market to do it. But I mean, it's better to take it slow, but offer that quality, be consistent, be innovative, have the right team in place, I guess you just got a win-win situation for that.
And Monty, over to you in terms of how do you make sure that you run your kind of salons profitably? What's kind of thinking, planning around making sure that every new one you're opening, what are some of the metrics you look at when you're launching something?
Actually, when we started, nails was supposed to be like high society thing to be done every day. It's not possible for any working lady to spend that much amount of money in nails. So we saw the market growing. We saw like Bandra was doing excellent, but better than Bandra, Malad was doing much better.
Wow.
In business terms. So that's how we thought, this is a market we need to expand. We need to give quality of service. That's what I agree with Savio. Completely good products, hygiene, maintain your quality always. And I think discount is something which depends on what segment you are. It depends. If there is too much competition, yes, there has to be discount. But there is not too much competition, then you are the niche market.
Yeah.
That's what we did. So we don't usually go for discounts, but we go for good services, add-ons. And I believe collaboration is something which we must now do. This is something the need of the hour. If you see the biggest cinemas today, Inox and PVR, they have collaborated. You see the Bollywood and the Chennai movie, South movie industries, they have collaborated. And you see the buzz.
As in, we as a community should kind of tie up with some of these, the cinemas and Bollywood, Hollywood, to raise the profile of our industry. Rahul, moving on from the discount, what are some of the metrics you look at and you would have looked at from 15 years ago? We're going to run a profitable business and scale. What kind of advice would you give to smaller salons or entrepreneurs trying to get into marketing? Look, this is when you're looking at space, this much space, how much cost per space, how much rent. So what's some of those metrics that are important ingredients to running a successful salon?
So, because of my background, I look at this very differently. And I feel that this discount is actually not the issue. The issue is really to maximize the rupees earned from your space.
How much rupees per space?
Yeah, how much of rupees are you earning from the space which you hire? Because your limitation is the space. So whether you are in Mumbai, Delhi, wherever you are, whatever kind of brand you are, whether you are a high-end brand, you are mid-level, you are a economy brand, when you hire a space, that is your limitation. That's your boundary. So how much of rupees you earn from that space is what determines your long-term success. So you can say, I'll earn a higher margin, keep my prices high, but if you are not getting enough volumes, you are still not earning money from there. So what you have to look at is how much of rupees are you earning at the end of the day. You're not really bothered about how much percentage margin you are doing, whether you're discounting, not discounting. Even with discounting, if your total rupees earned increases, that's a smart way of doing it. So discounting has to be looked at very strategically and not as something that, I'm going to do discount or not going to do discount. So if you look at the fashion brands in the world, tell me one brand which does not discount in the world, any level. I can name only one brand, one international brand and one Indian brand. The one international brand which doesn't discount is Louis Vuitton, and the one Indian brand I know doesn't discount is what is that brand in on Pereira Road? No, not this one, yeah. That Benzer, no, which Benzer? No, Benzer, yeah. Benzer. These are the only two brands I have seen who do not discount ever in their life. Every other brand, you look at any brand in the world, whether it is cosmetics, whether it is apparel, whether it is everything, even cars. The only brand which does not discount is probably a Rolls Royce. Every other brand discounts. You can go to a Mercedes showroom, they'll be running after you for discounts. But does that impact their brand image? No, they do it very smartly. So discounting has to be looked at from the point of view of how is your brand positioned and how do you structure discounts. So if you have a plan for discounting, if you have a method of discounting, it does not impact your brand. That's how I look at it.
And then when you're looking at, revenue per space, cost per space, like for example, if you have a 600 square foot, 1,000 square foot, what do you think is like your optimization ratio? So I've taken a 1,000 square foot unit. How much is actually going to be revenue generating? Do you look at 40%, 50%, 60%? Or do you look at the whole unit saying, right, this whole salon needs to generate me, X per square foot? Or do you look at optimization rate as well?
So the optimization is based on, again, studying the numbers of how much of business are you doing for each category of service, which services are doing better, which services are not doing so well. And if your space is allocated in proportion to that, you maximize your returns. I mean, that's a very generic principle. I know it's not easy. Like tomorrow, if you realize that, for example, your haircuts are doing much better, can you allocate 80% of your space or 90% to haircuts? Maybe not, because you will need to have other services to complete your salon. So theory and practice, you have to sort of strike a balance. But overall, I would still look at the rupees earned from the space, not really go very much deeper into each person, how much of time is being used for each person and so on. That is good to do when you are at a boutique level, when you are at a very high creative. The skill of the team which you have is at a very high level. For a brand like YLG, which is mid-premium, we are not so, invested into doing that kind of analysis.
And what about you, Samir? When you're running at, you're at JCB, now you're at Lux. Do you look at some of these metrics like revenue cost per square meter? And even, like Rahul had an interesting point that, there's aspects of hairdressing like the coloring, etc. If you're doing keratin, it's going to get you much higher margin. There's an easy kind of maybe mentality, let's do more of this. And then you end up compromising on other services that you think aren't generating, but sometimes you need them. So what's your thinking around that?
I think, these metrics have done enough, and I'm sure Rahul has done enough. We can keep going round and out. Everybody has their own way. But like typically what Rahul said, I tend to agree कि आपको एक sweet spot identify करना पड़ेगा कि भाई I need a 1500 square feet, I need a 2000 square feet. And it also repeatedly, I keep saying, it depends on the city of operation that you are in. For example, in Delhi or in North India, where Lux is a very heritage brand and 25, 30 years it's operating, even if it opens 1,000 square feet, it will do very well. But in Bombay, if I open a 850 square feet or 1,000 square feet, people will wonder whether it is the same brand, because their consumer is used to a 1,700, 1,800 square feet luxury, great looking interiors and so on and so forth. So I would not say that, metrics are not important. Of course, they're very important. And, we have done enough in our calculations of revenue per seat, revenue per hairdresser. It goes on and on. It's an endless thing. I mean, there's only X number of hours in a day that you can do spreadsheet calculations. But I think it depends on the overall brand strategy, where exactly you are in. I can't comment on Rahul's and Vijay's business, but I'm sure in Bangalore, even if they do a smaller outlet under the name of YLG, it will do very well. Exactly. But I can't do that. I'm used to a certain level, and the brand partners that I work with, there is a certain dictation from them saying that, okay, if it's a Keresta salon, this is the number of stations that you need to have, the Keresta salon needs to have. So all these things come into play.
Yeah.
And I think, it depends overall on the price and on the positioning of your brand and how do you really want to take this and what is scalable.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years later, when I have 25 salons in Bombay, we can do a smaller Lux, but not at this stage.
And Savio, because with your kind of Bandra outlet, you're very much known as a hairdressing salon, and I know you've experimented over time that okay, we'll do a bit of skin services, we'll do a bit of facials, we'll work with different brands, even makeup, academy training. So you've done what most of us as business owners will try, right? We're experimenting, thinking this might work, that might work, might be good. I have loyal customers anyway. What more can I bundle on? And then you step back thinking that didn't work, let me try. So, which is very typical for most of us as business owners. So what's your kind of advice for, salon, newer, younger, smaller salon owners about experimenting, not experimenting, stay true to your core philosophy?
My advice is experiment. There's always method to madness. Lot of trial and error. So, a lot of hit and misses. And That's something only an artist or a hairdresser understands that, because you say don't do it, he wants to do it or she wants to do it. So do it any which way. But the advice I would want to give people is be a specialist. So your salon first has to identify as a specialist. So we at Savio John Pereira, we are very clear. We are hairdressers. Okay, we want to be hairdressers to the hairdresser. So that's the best, nothing but the best. We want to be the best colorists in the country. So we want to be the top. So you want to get amazing color jobs done, you come to a Savio John Pereira salon. You want the best haircuts done, you come to a Savio John. So we're very clear about that part of it. Then you have your treatments. Then you have your other side services, okay, beauty, your manicure, pedicures. And all those work in when you're trying to create an experience for your clients. Because your clients want to come in, you want to pamper them, you want to offer them a massage, you want to offer them a nice manicure, pedicure, you want to offer them really good nails, a good facial, a good skin treatment. That's where we partner with the best brands as well. Again, you're choosing specialists in your salon. So if you've got nail technicians, make sure they're really good. Make sure your products are really good. You've got skin technicians or skin therapists, make sure they're really good. But your core part of it is where you need to focus on, because that's where your major revenue comes in from. So you've got to be known as an expert. Yeah, take your chances. And of course, COVID taught us one thing, where a salon can now become a one-stop shop, where clients would rather go into one place, get a haircut, get a color, get a treatment, get a manicure, pedicure, get a facial, get a nice massage. So if you've got the space to do it, why not? But it's again quality, which is going to matter, so, and consistency. So these two things are, as I said in the beginning, quality, consistency is where your clients are going to keep coming back. And you've got to be an expert in something. Anything. If it's hair keratin treatments, it's color treatments, it's spa treatments, whatever it is, your salon and your team has to identify with something. And that would be my advice to.
Great advice. So we're going to move on to more as we get to wrap up. We talked about your metrics of running the space. You talked about some of the challenges with poaching, increasing costs of talent. So I'll have Montie do this one, and then we'll ask the others. But how are you dealing with, we've got high inflation, we've had disruption from COVID, lost revenue. What's the appetite and ability of the salon to pass on some of that to end customer? Because we've just mentioned discounting, tricky game, you've got to get it right. But reverse of that, are you able to push on price hikes to your customer? And what's the kind of acceptance of that? So Montie, because you were very specialist in what you do. So everyone knows tip and toe, we come, what we come for. So like as Savio's mentioning, there is this now trend to moving to multi-service, which will compete with some of your work. So how do you deal with that? And are you able to increase your price as well at the moment?
Old days we used to go to our personal physician, and we go for medicines, right? If you have a toothache, you see a personal physician, and you see a dentist. Where you go? You go to a dentist. So things have changed, like I believe what Savio said. We are planning to go into all extensions. Everything in extensions. You call it from nails, you call it from eyelashes, you call it from microblading. This is the part of the market which we want to capture. Because hair, everything, that's not our forte, and the champions are here. So that's what we want to be, a part of the industry, supporting the industry in a different way. So like we complete the industry, like if a person goes for hair, makeup, waxing, so they see a store next to it for lashes. This is something which is new, and I think lashes is the new game coming in the market.
Yeah. And then Samir will go back to that in terms of, you're 200 plus almost. So is there an ability to increase, and you have a set customer profile that you aim at, which is at the higher end. Are you able to push on pricing to them, push on some of the high costs that you're hitting from the brands, from the talent? How much of that can you push on to the end customer?
I think every city, every cluster of salons, every geography will have to play a very different game. We are a national player. Nationally, you can't have one strategy which is going to be applicable to one. You will have to adapt. हर मार्केट अलग तरीके का होता है, हर शहर अलग तरीके का होता है. I think if you don't adapt and play the game as per your city or as your cluster and as per your consumer, it's not going to survive. It's not going to work well. You can't have one size fits all, like I said. Market is very, very dynamic. Our industry that we are in, I was just overseas day before yesterday. I was in a show in Istanbul. Fortunate to have been invited there, and it's one of the smaller shows of the world, but it's coming up now 900 exhibitors, which is very, very big. But what I'm saying is, the segment that we are in, the industry that we are in is very dynamic. It is a market. It's an industry which is here to stay. It will grow. There is going to be a massive growth. India is very, very small as far as beauty consumption is concerned. So, if you play your game, if you map your market well, if you have your right strategy, if you understand your customer well, take a learning from what everybody has said, and don't be in the rat race. When I say rat race, ये नहीं कि उसने ऐसा किया तो मुझे ऐसा करना है. Be very clear on your path. Just see what your focus is, and don't worry about this FOMO कि वो नहीं करेगा तो मेरा क्या होगा. Don't have that. You know your business, run your business directly and well, and you'll succeed there. So I'm saying that, answering your question, very simple line, every market for us has to be differently planned and differently thought of. Pricing is different. Like I'm saying, today I have just 5 salons in Bombay, but the Goregaon salon has a different price point. It's slightly lower, and the Powai salon has a premium price point, whereas the JW Marriott has even a higher positioning. So it's actually, I'm playing it as per what the market dynamics are.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Got it. Any questions from the audience before we wrap up?
To start the business in beauty. What is the advice for beginners?
Yeah.
Well, I think I think my personal advice is that you have to go with a brand, because today cost of building a business is very high. अगर आप एक नया brand बना रहे हैं, ये नहीं कि आप successful नहीं हो सकते, unless until you have very deep pockets, you have a lot of backing. I would suggest that you should do a franchise or you should do a partnership for an existing brand. It will help you scale up faster. वो brand ने मेहनत करी है. Savio is willing to give you franchises, and right? Yeah? Please contact.
How to give him some nice. The study is going on, but the most important thing of running a business, a beauty business especially, or hair, is people management. So you've got to be. You can have all the systems, processes, beautiful salon, the best equipment, but if you do not know how to deal with your team and you do not know how to deal with people, don't even think of getting into it. Don't. That's great. As long as you can deal with people, it's good.
This question. You don't become the. Please let her do. She's done a great job. Please don't finger it.
Yeah, I want to support her.
Please let her be. I think she's very smart. Women are the smartest people today we have. All these people who are sitting here. Unnecessary, आप अपना काम उसको जो कर रही करने दो, ठीक है ना?
Thank you very much.
Did you want to wrap up, point? I think the summary, because just even what Rahul said, Montie said, Savio said, and I know Samir has a strong wife as well. If you want to run a business successfully, make sure you have a strong woman by your side, because men will make silly mistakes, women will correct them. But key to it is, it's interesting because no one's talking about, okay, go for the pricing first. All that. It's understand who you are as a salon, as a business, regardless of the market, whether you're in tier 2, tier 3, you're in South Mumbai. And Samir gave good example in every little bit of Mumbai, there's a different strategy. So first, but they know who their customer is. Monty is like, we know we came in hi-fi, fashion, Hi-Fi Society was initial target. We adapted. So each of them know exactly who their customer is. They're not chasing everyone, trying to give everything to everyone. That's probably the strategy to fail, and you'll fail fast trying to do everything for everyone. So understand your customer, understand your speciality, that we are hairdressers, we are, now from nails, they're extensions experts. Understand who you are. We could go on for hours and hours, but we've got other speakers I'm keeping on, on the bench. But thank you so much for sharing your advice as well. Come. No, we'll take a photo here. I hate these tapes. Let's come in front of the tape.